All right, number 6. Which of the following numbers is rational? All right, so there's several. This is real difficult for students often. I try to give kind of a little cheat on how to determine if something is rational or not. And here we go. I said that it's easy to determine if something is irrational. And if it's not irrational, that means it's rational. So there's several things that are irrational. Number 1 is pi. Pi is always irrational. So this right here, option C, we can eliminate that because that is irrational. Let me write this. Irrational. Okay. Another thing that is irrational is trying to find the square root of a non-perfect square number. An example of that is like saying the square root of 8. 8 is not a perfect square number. So I can't find the square root of 8 and get an integer answer. Another example of that is option D. There's not a number an integer I can multiply times itself to get 40. Like I can try like 6 times 6 is 36, 7 times 7 is 49. It doesn't land on a perfect. So that's irrational. Another thing that's considered irrational is if you see something that has a continuous decimal but no pattern, that means it's irrational. All right. So an example of that would be like 0.7893 ... Okay, it's irrational, and kind of a way you can think about this is if you've ever met a human being that was irrational, you never knew what to expect from them. They would come in one day and they'd be real happy, and then the next day they'd be like, throwing stuff at you, and the next day they would be wanting to help you and stuff like that. It's irrational. You're like, I have no idea what's going to come next. Well, that's kind of like irrational decimals. 78932, you're like, I have no idea what number is next. Okay, so this is an example of an irrational number because the ... indicates that there are more numbers, but there's not a repeating pattern here. Okay, so that's irrational. Here's another example of irrational. -5.45769 ... I have no idea what number is next because I don't see any kind of repeating pattern here. It could be 4 next, but it could also be like 7. It could be 10. I have no idea. So this is irrational. Okay. These are the 3 biggies that I say are irrational. If it's not one of these, chances are it is rational. All right. Because this is asking me to find the square root. So it kind of looks like it might go with this. However, 289 is a perfect square number. In other words, there's a number I can multiply times itself to get 289. And so you might say, well, I don't know what that is. So you try different things. You're like, 12 times 12 is 144. And then 15 times 15 is blah, blah, blah. And so try different things out if you don't have your numbers memorized. So I'm going to try 17 times 17. 7 times 7 is 49. Carry your 4. 7 times 1 is 7. Plus 4, so I've got 8, 9, 10, 11. 1 times anything is just itself. I'm going to add those. I get 9, 8, 2. 289. So the square root of 289, you can actually do that and get an integer answer. It's 17. Therefore, this is rational. It's something you can do. All right. That's number 6.